What is the Edmonton cost of living? We're gonna talk about that in this video. So don't forget to hit subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the videos that we come out every single week. And today we're talking all about Edmonton cost of living. Are we affordable? Because most people know that Edmonton, located in the province of Alberta, is usually very friendly for affordability. Now, I used Numbeo for a lot of my sourcing for prices, and so it's going to be based on their resources and also my knowledge being an Edmontonian and what I spend as a family of 5. We have 3 kids, one at 9, 12, and 15 years old at the time of filming, and so you have to take that in consideration if you're a family of 3 or a bigger family. Obviously your costs are going to vary. Now, according to Numbeo, we are rated about 69.84% in terms of moderate cost of living when they look all across the whole entire world in terms of affordability. So in this video, we're going to talk about the housing, living, and transportation cost of living. We're going to talk about the grocery cost of living, eating, and things to do. So we're going to share all the costs we possibly can to help you understand what it costs to live in the city of Edmonton. Now, if you live in the city of Edmonton and you're watching and you think that you've got some things to add, please comment below of what your cost of living is that I may have missed. So to compare Edmonton to Toronto and Vancouver, we definitely have a larger purchase power with our money. So according to Numbeo, we have 34.63% more purchase power than Toronto and 29.88% more than Vancouver. So there's a lot of people we see move from BC and Ontario because of our affordability. Now, I want to say a disclaimer because a lot of people I see come here and want to buy a house and expect that the housing is going to be quite a bit cheaper, and that is true. But sometimes I think people go so extreme where our houses have never been that cheap. So you want to make sure you do the research. You may find really cheap housing, like quite a bit cheaper than the average price, but you have to keep in mind what neighborhood are you looking at. Because you don't live here, you may not realize there's a lot of crime there and nobody wants to live there. So make sure to do the full scope research when you're looking at the area. And we're going to talk about the average price of a single family home. In Edmonton, at the time of filming in December 2022, the average price overall is about $490 for a single family home. That is, what does a single family home look like? I'm talking about your double attached garage with a 2-story with a bonus room in the front and 3 bedrooms up and an unfinished basement. Now, there's varying prices of that exact product all across Edmonton. I'm just giving you the overall average price. And this home is probably within 10 to 20 years old. So whether you're buying in a certain time of year, it's always going to affect your average price. And the local real estate market and what's going on with it is also going to affect that price. So just giving you the average price so you have a general idea. If you budget about $490, and also the square footage is probably about 1,800 square feet. If you're looking for 2,000 square feet, you want to budget at least 500. And then if you're looking for a newer home for that same exact product, try to bump your budget up to 550, 575, maybe even 600,000. Depends again on the new home, the finishes that you want, the quality of build, because again, you'll find cheaper options from builders that may be building with cheaper quality and compared to the other builders that are building with better quality and have better reputations. So when you have this home, what are the utilities? What does it look like? So for a family of 5, because you've got teenagers, you've got kids and adults, our utilities run in and around, I'd say $500 to $600 a month. It depends, because I've noticed our bills go extremely high sometimes and we don't even understand what's going on. We have a very interesting way of utilities in Alberta. It's a market where you can choose what provider you want. I know that in other provinces, it's just, you get no choice. This is your provider for your gas and your electricity, and it is what it is. In Alberta, you can choose. So there is a website I will put in the description and in the link here that shows you where you can, how you can compare utilities and what companies are out there. And they have varying rates, they have variable rates, and they have fixed rates for your utilities. And of course, during the summer, if you have AC, your electricity bill might be higher. In the winter, your gas bill might be higher because it's so cold. And your furnace is typically not running in the summer, so then that will be lower. So if you're living in an apartment by yourself, it could be as low as $50 a month, But if you're living with someone else or some kids in there, that mix, you might be looking at 100, 150, but it's not gonna be as much as a single family home. Now, a single family home, if you don't have any kids or it's just 2 people in that house, of course the utilities are quite a bit less. I'd say you'd still want to budget around 300 to 400 because you never know with the prices. But that's kind of the ballpark of what to expect for utilities here in the city. And if you have a new home that's more energy efficient, you've got the LED lights and everything like that, that does make a difference versus the older bungalows that are built in the 50s that might be leaking air and not as efficient. You might have more heat loss and then pay more money for heat because it's not warming up and you're feeling cold. So internet, no matter where you live, is going to be the same price, and the average cost is anywhere from $80 to $100 a month. And that is also dependent on what kind of, if you're using fiber optic or just a regular, or if are you tagging other things on, but that's usually the internet cost. If you're looking at cable or all that stuff, again, that varies. And a lot of people stream these days and just have subscriptions to Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. So cable hasn't become as popular, but it is there. In Edmonton, there are 2 main sources for internet. It's Shaw Cable and TELUS. So those are your 2 options. I know sometimes there's some little other options, but those are the 2 main ones that Edmontonians use. Oh, something to note, because I've had people ask me this before. So far, to my knowledge, only TELUS offers fiber optic and not to all neighborhoods. The newer neighborhoods are pretty much almost a given, but the older neighborhoods, they're slowly making their way to all the neighborhoods to put fiber optic in. But if that's something interesting to you, you're gonna have to make sure to check with them to see where they're at. All right, so we're gonna talk about transportation cost in Edmonton. So in Edmonton, you most likely will need a car of some sort. Our city is quite spread out and our transport isn't the greatest. Now, if you are gonna take the Edmonton Transit, just understand it's nowhere near as efficient as those bigger cities like Toronto and Vancouver. You're gonna have to sit on a bus for quite a long time to maybe not get that far. The cost of a regular ETS one way is $3.50. So that gives you 90 minutes. If you're going somewhere and then you can hop back on in 90 minutes, you can use that transfer and get back at $3.50. But you may have to pay double. You can get passes. If you're a university student, you can that's actually part of your fee, so you can use your bus pass that way. The Edmonton Transit and LRT system, unfortunately, are known that there's some crime in there. So that's why it is used quite a bit, but that's something to keep in mind. And it also takes forever. If you live on the west side or the south side or any of the suburbs and you're trying to get to downtown or to university, it can take you upwards of an hour to get there. So a lot of times if you want to live closer to your workplace and take a bus, then it's a lot easier than living that far out. So if you're owning a vehicle, how much does gas cost in Edmonton? Well, at the time of filming, December 2022, gas is $1.39. But just a month ago, it was $1.69 per liter. So it does vary. Our gas prices are quite unpredictable. We've seen it actually quite high this year, and we've seen it, I always see it like $1.25. I have not seen it under $1 a liter for a long time. And though Alberta is the production place, it doesn't mean that we are the cheapest place for gas, because sometimes we do see it for cheaper. Now, of course, every station is different. So if you look at, I found if you use Google Maps, it'll actually show you the nearby gas stations and the price that it is. So then you can actually detour to the better priced gas station, because everyone can change. Even ones across the street could be different pricing. That's how it works here in Edmonton. Now, if you're going to work and you need childcare, your kids aren't in school yet, the average cost, according to Numbeo, for childcare per month per child is $960 a month. So I know that's cheaper than it is in BC, because we've had clients move from BC to Edmonton, making a note of how much more affordable childcare is. So that's just a general number. It's gonna vary between if you're going to a day home at a home, or if you're going to a daycare or a Montessori. What about clothing? Clothing is, pretty worldwide. I mean, you can buy clothes online and get it delivered from wherever. The average cost of a pair of jeans is about $70. A dress is about $40 to $60, but let's be honest, you can get sales and deals all the time. This is just an average price from Numbeo. You can get clothes for a deal if you go to the sales section in Old Navy at the mall. You can shop local and spend a bit more money, but you're supporting local. So there's a lot of different options to purchasing clothes. You can also check out the buy and sell swaps. You can check out clothing swaps. You can go to, there's a few used clothing stores in the city, And of course we have West Edmonton Mall, which is a one-stop shop for your clothing. And then there's also the South Edmonton Common, which is outdoor. We can just go directly, you're not walking inside. That concept's good for when it's the summer, it's a bit colder in the winter, but people still frequent it, and it is an absolute gong show place, both places to go on the weekends, and especially over the Christmas break, it's crazy. We've also got other malls like Southgate Mall, which also has a lot of options as well. The other malls in our city are kind of, I don't note them as much. Oh, Kingsway is another bigger one. We don't have a lot of larger malls. There's a lot of small little sub malls, but I'd say the ones I just listed are kind of the primary ones to go to. If I missed anyone, please comment down below and let me know what malls you frequent. But you can get clothing and food and entertainment all at these different malls, especially West Edmonton Mall that has everything. It's got a water park, it's got an amusement park, it's got everything that you can do. You can do mini golfing there, you can go bowling there. The other malls are more so just retail, clothing, and food courts. Now, other places you can get clothing is also, don't forget Winners. We have a Winners, which is a retail shop that's usually connected to a HomeSense, and those are usually good deals for designer stuff. I'm not doing commercial, but I do like checking that place out too for good deals for my family. The cost of groceries continues to climb, and so when I film this video and you watch it, might be a different time and maybe it's a lot more, because I have noticed our grocery bill go up month over month and the last few years, and I've seen people post about it worldwide, not just in our city. So in Edmonton, for a family of 4 to 5, you can look budgeting around anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Why the variance? Well, it depends. Do you guys cook all the time? Do you always go out to eat? Your grocery bill is obviously going to be different depending on that, and depends on if you're eating produce or a lot of the mac and cheese type of meals. So it also depends on what grocery store you're shopping at. We've got Costco's here, we've got Superstore, we've got Safeway, we've got Save on Foods. There's a lot of different options for you to get your groceries, and we even have a produce place called H&W that has really good deals on produce. So depending on how frequently your family goes out to eat and what types of foods they eat, that's kind of the range for a regular family of 4 to 5. Here in Edmonton, you can also do couponing. It's not maybe as frequent or as good of a deal as couponing in the States, but there's definitely couponing options here in Edmonton, and you can definitely use them at the Walmarts and all the places that will honor those things. Now, we talked about going out to eat. If you do frequent it or you do want to take your family to go out to eat, what do you expect to pay for a bill? So if you're doing fast food, drive-through, that kind of thing, if you're a family of 4 to 5, expect to spend anywhere from $50 to $80. I guess it depends on if you're ordering all kids meals. Again, are your teenagers, are they eating like adults, that kind of thing. 50 to 80 bucks is kind of a safe amount to budget. And we also have fast food that is not all junk food. So we've got places like Freshie that are salads and wraps and stuff like that, and Subway, but they're also in the same price point. Prices for drive-through and fast food are no longer the cheaper option, even though in theory it is cheaper, because going out to eat at a restaurant, you're definitely gonna have to budget at least $100 usually, approximately, for a family, because kids meals, they do cost money. I haven't found any places anymore that kids eat free. Now, sometimes there's certain days of the week that kids eat free, but the adults usually have to buy something also. So it's not like you can just go there and let your kids eat for free and you not eating anything. The average dish, I've noticed, used to cost about $18, and I've seen prices on average be about $20 to $25, depending on where you're going to. So expect to see that, depending on what kind of food you're eating and what restaurant you're going to, whether it's a local restaurant or if you're having Vietnamese food or Chinese food or like a Cactus Club Cafe. Of course, those prices range. I would say on the lowest side, $12, and I would say on the high side, $35, even $45 per plate, depending again on what you're eating, if it's lunch, dinner, breakfast, that kind of thing. All right, so we're gonna talk about things to do and the cost of things to do as a family here in the City of Edmonton. So if you want to check out any of the City of Edmonton rec centers, they're all owned by the City of Edmonton. They all have the same pricing all across the board. Now, if you get a membership or a pass, you can use them at all the different facilities. So if you live close to one, but you maybe one day want to go check out another, they're all the same. So pricing for the Edmonton, if you go as an adult, $9 for a one-time admittance. For kids that are 2 to 12, $6.25. For a 13 to 17-year-old or 65 plus, it's $7.75. Or you can get a gig family pass, which is $24.25 to go in as a family. So obviously that's a lot more better savings. They also have memberships that you can buy that are going to be well worth your money as long as you go, I believe, 3 times. Now, if you're looking at other things to do in the city outside of going to the fitness areas, let's say, for example, there's a new place called Activate. It's a great family place to go, and not really for the younger kids, but for the older kids, I'd say 8 and up. There are a lot of active games to play, and they're all cooperative games. Now that's not cheap, it's $25 per person for about 75 minutes. So that's something that maybe you don't frequent every day or every week, but it's a fun thing to do, or maybe for a birthday party. Now Edmonton is known for our extreme temperatures, and so we have a lot of things to do inside. So if you're looking and you have young kids that want to go to, there's a place called the Treehouse, it's a little play center, and there's lots of other ones that are similar priced. The prices there range from $7.95 for 1 to 3 year olds and $11.95 for 4 to 13-year-olds, and adults and babies are free. Now obviously they're targeting that, because why are adults free? Because these play center structures are not meant for you to enjoy completely on your own. These are meant for younger children. So now there's also Launchpad, which is a trampoline indoor park. Lots of fun to be had inside there for all ages. And just a warning, the older you are, you might realize you have muscles that you never thought you would use when you are jumping at the trampoline park. The cost of Launchpad for ages 2 to 5 is $10, and 6+ is $16.50. So again, not the most cheapest thing to do, but it is a lot of fun for the family to do and enjoy, especially when the weather is not the greatest outside. So there's some places that you can check out in the city with your family that include learning. The Tell Us World of Science is a really fun place for kids to check out. Hence the name Science. There's lots of science things. There's also the IMAX theater there. There's different science displays, and there's some things that are always the same, and then there's things that are different. There's a little kids play area for the younger kids, and they've improved that over the years. So for your young kids, if you're looking for things to do during the day, and there's also things for kids that are older. The kids will usually go there for a field trip with school as well, but it's also a fun place for the family to check out together. The cost there for the Tell Us World of Science is $27.95 for an adult, $20.95 for a child, and $23.95 for youth and seniors. Now, you could get a membership for just under $200, and that covers 2 adults and 4 children. So if you go there at least basically 2 times, you've paid it off. And so our families enjoyed that membership many times because, again, like I said, it is something to do outside of all the extreme temperatures that Edmonton usually experiences. Now, the Fort Edmonton Park is something that is also city owned, but they have different pricing. And it's a heritage place, it's a day trip to go check out. And in past years, I'm not sure if they continue to do this, but the City of Edmonton will do all things city owned for free for the day. Now, obviously it's going to be extremely busy, and we tend to not want to go those days because you got to find parking and deal with all the massive crowds. If you're going to Fort Edmonton Park on the free days, definitely be warned that it's going to be very, very busy. Fort Edmonton Park, the cost there is $95 for a family, or $26.20 for an adult, or $20.90 for a child and senior. So there's a lot of options there in terms of if you're just going to go one time. If you're going to go multiple times, that pass will allow you to go to John Jansen Nature Center and I believe the Mootart Conservatory, because they're also owned by the same. So if you're able to go to all of them, it's actually worth your while. So Fort Edmonton Park also has fairgrounds on property, and they also have basically from the fort days all the way to 1800s. Like, they're walking you through, and so you get to look through old buildings, and there's interaction there, and you kind of see what's happened in the fur trade. It's really interactive for the kids, and it's a fun time to be had by the whole family. They also have a big steam train that goes all the way around, and that's also a fun ride. They've got straight trolleys because that was the mode of transportation back then, and they've also got horseback rides. There's little pony rides and also wagon rides. So at the downtown core, there's the Alberta Museum downtown, there is the Art Gallery, and the Edmonton Public Library. Edmonton Public Library is free, and they're of course located all around the city. But the museum, the cost there is $21 for an adult, $14 for a senior, $10 for youth, and under 6 is free. $50 for a family to go in, and guess what? The deal for a pass is $70 for a family. So realistically, if you're planning to go to the museum twice in the whole year, the family pass makes a lot more sense, and it has a ton of stuff to do. It used to be located in Glenora, and then they moved it to downtown core, and it has been modernized, updated. There's a whole section just for young kids. So, you know, as a young mom, if you're at home, this is a great place you can go to like on a daily basis with your pass. There's things for those kids to do all the time. There's active things that they can do. There's building blocks, there's interactive displays for them to play with. Right next door, there's like a whole place for bugs where you can check out all the bugs. They have certain feature displays and presentations, and they've also got their regular displays as well. It's a really beautiful building and a great place to check out. You can spend hours there if you want, and you can also, because you have a pass, you can kind of go in for an hour and leave. Parking, when it's a holiday or the weekend, is typically free because the city doesn't charge during those times, but beware because Saturdays, usually I think you still have to pay. That museum is a really good place for a family activity and just a variety of things to do for kids of all ages. So there's a lot of things that cost money to do as a family, but there's also a lot of free things. Our Edmonton River Valley has a lot of great things to check out: the paths, the stairs. You can also check out the playgrounds and the parks all throughout Edmonton that don't cost you anything as well. There are outdoor swimming pools that at one point were free. At this stage, I'm not sure if they're still charging, but I believe it was still free. The city was covering that cost. And of course, there are plethora of other things that I haven't covered, but in this video, hopefully they gave you an idea of the general cost of living in Edmonton as a family. If there's anything that you feel like you really want to know, make sure to comment below and we'll make sure to include that in our next Edmonton cost of living video.